Start.
Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to one and all present here. And I welcome to this very relevant and very exciting online session on strategies and tips to crack LSAT India 2020. The event is being jointly organized by Faculty of Law, Manav Rachna University in association with LSAC Global, who are the creators and administrators of LSAC and LSAT India test. My name is Dr. Versha Vahini. I am Senior Professor and Head of the Department of Faculty of Law, Manav Rachna University, and I will be moderating this webinar. Many of you who are not from NCR region might not know much about Faculty of Law at Manav Rachna University, and that is no fault of yours. We are a very young and evolving law school located in Aravali Hills in Surajkund, Faridabad, and are just into the fourth year of our academic operations. We offer 5-year integrated LLB honors program, that is BA LLB, BBA LLB, and BCom LLB, and also certain postgraduate programs of LLM 1 year and 2 year. Whereas LSAC conducts very prestigious and very vital law admission test, which helps institute to ensure quality of legal education in the country. In this endeavor, Faculty of Law has partnered with LSAC and is a founder member of LSAC Global Law Alliance, which is a group of 11 of India's leading private law colleges and universities. As a member of this prestigious alliance, we have reserved seats specifically for LSAT India applicants, and we are also offering scholarship for meritorious LSAT India applicants. Before I open the session for law aspirants, please allow me to introduce my co-panelists for the session. We have Mr. Manas Dolani and Ms. Chetali Wadhwa with me. Mr. Manas Kamlesh Dolani is a graduate of the prestigious Government Law College, Mumbai. He is currently the Assistant Director, Brand and Outreach at LSAC Global. Prior to joining LSAC Global, he was working with top corporates like Hindustan Lever on enhancing legal literacy and also was founding member of an online legal education platform. He holds advanced certification from top national law universities on air and space law, nuclear law, media law, and maritime law. As a trainer and facilitator, he has worked with over 30,000 youth and teen leaders. Mr. Dolani has been recognized as an outstanding young leader by the Youth Assembly at United Nations for his work around youth development and participation. We are delighted to have you, Mr. Dolani, and thank you for agreeing to be with us today. My other panelist is Ms. Chetali Wadhwa, a passionate scholar and a committed budding academician with strong academic ethics, and is an assistant professor with Faculty of Law. Please allow me to begin the session by inviting Mr. Dolani. Over to you, Manas.
Thank you, Dr. Vahini, for that generous introduction, and thank you to my dear friends at the Manav Rachna University for inviting us at LSAC Global to be a part of this webinar. I mean, let me just start off by saying that we at LSAC Global are pretty excited to have your institution as a member of the alliance, and honestly, as you said, you're a young institution. I'm sure there's a lot more that can always be done with younger institutions because it allows the scope to experiment. And I think that's also what brings us together on this webinar today. So it's absolutely our pleasure to be able to host you as a member of the Alliance and to also be participating with you on this webinar. Coming to our attendees, I see the attendee count is still building up and they're still joining in. So a very good morning to everyone who is joining us on the attendees. And I see it's already crossed about 200. So it's a Wednesday morning. It's around noon time. Board examinations were cancelled. Your results were delivered in a new formula. 10 board results are going to come out. So I know it's that time where everybody's like, my results come out. It's okay. It's an easy day. So I do understand that, and I'm fairly glad that you've joined us still, despite that, after results and everything have come, having had been declared. So thank you again for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly jump into to talk a little about the examination, what the examination is. Some of you already know it, or probably most of you know it, but those who don't, I'll just try and spend a couple of minutes over here. And then there is some important information that automatically goes around the exam, how it is built, how you can approach it, what could be some strategies. Um, I think we are already encouraging questions and we've got some, so we'll be taking them as well. So quickly coming to the examination, as you know, the LSAT India is an examination that has been there for the last 10 or 11 years in India, and it's been a gateway till I think a year before last. The peak was some 90, 95 institutions in India which were accepting the LSAT scores, and this year we've consciously taken a decision to build up the LSAC Global Law Alliance, where institutions have reserved exclusive seats and have exclusive benefits for people who are taking LSAT India. So on that part, what I would like to say is, one, thank you again to Manav Rashna University for joining the alliance. And for those who are viewing us, if you do not know yet, Manav Rashna University, like the other alliance universities, is also offering scholarships to those who come through the LSAT India. So just in case, I would encourage that you go ahead and explore that with them. But coming back to the examination, I just shared that LSAT India has been here for the last 10 to 11 years, but please do not confuse it with the LSAT examination. The LSAT examination is the examination that is for the US and Canadian law schools or the international law schools that you can take after you have finished your graduation. So you go for the specialized law course that probably would be a JD Juris Doctor, and for that you have to have finished your graduation or the undergraduate course, if I may say so. In India, however, the LSAT India is slightly different. It allows you to take the examination right after your 11th and 12th grade, and you're directly eligible to go and study in an undergraduate program. But the same exam also empowers you to take the examination for an LLB course or an LLM, that is your graduate law degree course program, and the postgraduate program. But what I may say over here is you are not all graded and scored on the same scale. Since we understand those who are appearing for the graduate program and the postgraduate programs, they'll have a different scale and different score. Those who are there on the undergraduate program will have a different one. Quickly addressing the sections, or probably, if I may say, how the examination is set up. So I know there's this been big question around, because earlier this year we were trying to experiment with the variable section, which is also there in the LSAT in the US, but the variable section is not going to be there anymore in the online remote proctored exam. So it is important to know, one, I'm sure those who are giving, the LSAT India is now an online remote proctored exam which you can take from the convenience of your home, and it is going to be a secure end-to-end examination that we're taking, but there's not going to be that variable section. So what do you get in your examination? You get the reading comprehension section, or which popularly we call as the RC section. You have the logical reasoning, that is the LR. So you have LR1 and LR2, and you have the analytical reasoning section. All of these sections tentatively should be around 92 questions, but it can be a little more, little less, one or two here or there. It's not a definitive number. You can expect an average of 23 questions in each section, where LR1 could go 22, LR1 could go 22, LR2 will have 23, reading comprehension would have 24, analytical reasoning would have 23. What's important to note that is the exam is overall for 2 hours and 20 minutes, but each section is for 35 minutes only. In the remote proctored mode, once you finish the section and the 35 minutes lapse, you cannot revisit the section. So this is something that you'll have to keep in mind for this year while attempting the examination LSAT India. It's something that is very important, and it's unlike what you would have ideally given as a pen and paper test. The other thing that I would like to say over here is, you know, LSAT India is not a test of your memory. We are not testing your math, GK, or legal reasoning. So I understand some other examinations are, and you've been preparing for it. But as a run up to LSAT India, I would encourage that you focus a little more on critical thinking, critical reasoning, and reading comprehension, which would help you enable, or which would enable you and help you to excel on this examination. We strongly believe that the examination is a test of your skills and should not be a test of your memory. And therefore, you'll see the whole examination is set up in a fashion where any background neutral individual can also attempt the examination. Whether you're from science, arts, commerce, you've taken up biology, any of the fields that you're from, the examination doesn't really test you on a particular thing that you may have done in your high school. So that is something that I would just, try to remind you over here. And that is also how you should orient yourself in the next few days while practicing. Now, with that said, what I want to just spend a couple of minutes here on is emphasizing on the examination and the scholarships attached with examination. The scholarship, that is the Discover Law India scholarship, uh, which was around the Shamnath Bashir Access to Justice essay, is already closed. Your submissions or entries were only available till 12th of July, and we're not accepting any more submissions. But the LSAT India topper also gets another chance to get a scholarship of 4 lakh rupees that can be towards any alliance colleges. With that, each institution is offering their own independent scholarship. So I would like to encourage that, with this, you probably go ahead and talk to each institution, explore the scholarships, explore the opportunities, and take that decision. That said, I trust this is some basic information that I wanted to just run by with the exam again. And I think there are some additional questions that we'll be addressing at the end of this webinar. But the next thing that I want to focus on is the main theme, that is the strategies and tips that you can be adopting for the LSAT India preparation that is coming up. Now, the examination starts on the 19th and is there till 22nd, and we have another testing on the 26th. What does this mean? So the reason that we are testing you over a set number of days is we basically wanted to ensure that one, it's secure and everybody gets a fair chance to come up for the examination. So there's a lot of blended format that has been adopted. So you definitely have the AI proctor, which is looking at you and checking you in the examination, but there's also going to be a manual checking of the scorecard. There are going to be, whatever slot you've given, please try and report 30 minutes before that slot, because there's a waiting room and we're checking your we're checking your ID proofs as well. So make sure you're in line with the terms and conditions that have been laid out and the information that's already been sent to you. There are 3 different emails that have come to you. It's either from discoverlawindia@lsac.org, and if you've checked your terms and conditions, it's come from lsatindia@pearson.com. So make sure that you're thorough with it. You have some information packets that were sent to you. The Discover Law India website is updated in the FAQ section. So I would again encourage that you go and read that. Now, what I would say about the strategies, more than tips, this is just a strategy that you should have while preparing or just gearing yourself up for the LSAT India. For those who are writing on the 19th, you just have 2 or 3 days left. And my biggest advice to anyone, whether you're writing on the 19th, 20th, 21st, or 22nd, is practice. LSAT India is one place where you can score more and score better when you practice more. Practice, practice, practice. That should be your ground rule in the coming days. And what should be your strategy of practicing is something that I would want to, just spend some time on. It is not just that, hey, let me sit for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay, can I do 30 minutes? There's this show that's going to come on TV, or maybe I need to go for lunch. Let me practice one section. When you're practicing, make sure that you're trying to spend at least 3 to 3.5 hours on your desk at a go. The reason why I'm saying this is the exam is 2 hours and 20 minutes. And unlike a pen and paper test, this time around, you don't have breaks. So you need to get yourself mentally trained for looking at a screen or reading enough content for that much amount of time. If you say that you're going to try and practice for 2 hours and 20 minutes, there's an ideal thing that you are gearing yourself, but you may not reach the optimum. So to reach the optimum, I would say attempt for 3.5 hours, because you can assume sometimes you may have an internet drop. Sometimes you may have some connection issue. It takes a little time to reset. So taking that foliage time, practice enough and get yourself in the habit of sitting at a spot, at a desk, ideally, where you would be taking this examination in a similar setup that you would do for your exam. Clear out your room, no photos in the background, table being clear, all of those things that have been advised to you. Just get used to it. Just get acquainted to it. That's the best way right now that you can equip yourself for this examination. The next thing that I would say is make sure that your family knows when your slot is, when your exam is, and the hours that you're practicing. The exam doesn't allow you to have other people come into your room or show up on the camera. So for that, what you need to ensure is your family also knows, and one, neither are they trying to break your concentration or they're coming up. So what happens is that definitely gets them also up. It's important for you and the people around you who are going to be involved on that day on supporting you for the test to be practicing with this. Try and stay away from your phone for this duration. I'm not saying keep it down for the whole day, but if your phone is a distraction, hey, let me check my Instagram, let me see what my friend texted me. These are some, this is the first basic thing that I would say. Practice, but practice yourself in an examination setup. Train your brain to get into that mode to take up this examination. It's not that, I'm trying to practice to score better. I'm practicing to make sure that I attempt the exam as it requires me to be. The next step would be practicing to train yourself and equip yourself for better skills. So for that, again, go back on discoverlaw.in. There is sample paper, sample test paper. So in our case, we call them prep tests. Prep test 1, 2, and 3. All three of them are set up on the exact format that you will have your exam. It has 4 sections, that is reading comprehension, LR1, LR2, analytical reasoning. Practice those tests. Even if you've done them in the past, try reading them again. I'll come why I'm suggesting to practice them again is, but why I'm saying that. And then there's a fifth prep test that we gave out to the people who attended the webinar with us on the 10, or it's there on our Telegram channel. If you want to get access to it, go to our Telegram and join our channel, LSAT India. You will get access to the prep test 5. The prep test 4 has already been given to you in a print format before the lockdown, but after lockdown, when shipping became difficult for us and we couldn't get the resources to the students, what we've done is we've actually sent the passwords to you for a digital format. So again, try and use these 4 to 5 tests that you have access to practice again. Now, why did I say that practice these particular tests? Sure, there's a lot of resources that you can be reading on the internet, but you know how you have 4 sections? Try taking up 6 of these sections. Sit for 6 sections at a go. So 2 hours and 20 minutes with 35 and 35 minutes each should take you up to about 3 hours and 30 minutes of practice. That's how. And then it's in the same exact format that we are also going to be testing you. So what that does is that allows you to read the question, understand them in a fashion, and get yourself trained for what's coming. A lot of times for reading comprehension, there's a big question. Should we read the question first or should we read the passage first? It's a strategy that you have to opt for how you've been doing. Some people prefer reading the questions first and then finding the answers in the passage. Some people prefer having a thorough reading of the passage and then going for the questions. Some people skim to the questions and the passage both, and then again try and find these answers. So if you've been practicing one way, I would suggest that keep to it and practice again. There is no one size that fits all. There's no one strategy that fits all. So continue with what you've been doing. For LR and AR, again, you'll find a lot of resources on the internet. If you just put puzzles or game style questions or family tree or relations style questions, you'll get a lot of them. Practice again and get yourself in the groove to take this examination, if I may say. The other thing that I would have to say is most of the resources are already there on our website or have been sent to you as an email. Some reminder emails will also be coming through to you later today or in this week as this progresses, as you get up to your examinations. We're also communicating with you through our social media channels. So at any given point of time, if you have questions or if you just want to understand something, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at discoverlawindia@lsac.org, or the WhatsApp business number is also given on our website. So that is what I would have to say should be your key strategy. Number one was practice. The other thing that I want to say is that is beyond just a strategy for preparing the exam. And I want to end myself over here only because I think I've also exhausted my time. What you have to do is you just have to keep away from the anxiety or the 100 questions that you're putting yourself to. Will the exam happen? What happens if the webcam crashes? What happens if this happens? What happens if someone enters the room? Just prepare yourself for it. And I understand with the whole scenario, people being at home, we are not unsure when we are getting to colleges, how to get to colleges. Be rest assured that the institutions that are working with us and even we ourselves at LSAC Global are committed to supporting your law school journeys. So we are there definitely with you. But for the next coming few days, try and just keep your focus a little around the examination and how you want to prepare for the examination rather than the 100 other questions. Because if you don't appear for the examination or if you don't perform well at examination, that automatically closes some opportunities for you. And you don't want that in this scenario. What you want to do is you want to keep these opportunities open for you. So with that, the two key takeaways that I would say is number one, practice to get yourself trained and get your family trained more so. The second part of the same would be practice to get yourself into the groove of taking the examination. And as an iron tip, what I would say on a personal level, just breathe. Don't really fret about it or sweat about it. They're just going to work out, and we're all here to support you. Just feel free to write to us. So with that, back to you, Dr. Vahini, and thank you again for giving me the chance to speak to the audience today.
Thank you very much, Manas, for giving tips how to prepare. We have lots and lots of questions coming up from the audience. But before I take up those questions, may I ask Chaitali to make a very, very brief presentation, not more than 5-6 minutes about Manav Rachana, and then we'll take up the questions and we'll ask you to answer those questions. Over to you, Chaitali.
Thank you, Dr. Vahini. I'll just share my screen. And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Faculty of Law, Manav Rachana University. Before I talk about the Faculty of Law, I'd just like to give you a short brief on the Manav Rachana Educational Institutions, which were founded in 1997. And now there are 2 world-class universities which are a part of MREI. We have the Manav Rachana International Institute of Research and Studies, and we have the Manav Rachana University apart from the Manav Rachana International Schools. Now, at the Faculty of Law, we want to cherish and uphold justice and the rule of law, and we do this by letting the students contribute to the emerging dynamics of constitutionalism by developing core legal competencies. The director at the Faculty of Law is Mr. Ajay Thomas. He has over 20 years of experience as an advocate, arbitration administrator, and an arbitrator. He has done his LLM from the National University of Singapore and is also a member at the ICC Commission on Arbitration and ADR. The head of department at the Faculty of Law is Dr. Versha Vahini. She has done her LLM from NLS Bangalore, her PhD from ILI New Delhi, and has over 17 years of teaching and research experience with NLS Bangalore, NLU Bhopal, and NUJS Kolkata. She has published books and is also the editor of Ratanlal and Dheerajlal, the Indian Penal Code. The other faculty members here at the Manav Rachana Law School include all distinguished personalities who have been associated with both national as well as international universities. Professor Dr. Jos Verghese is the Professor Emeritus, and he has over 45 years of experience in the academic field. He was also the founding Vice Chancellor of HNLU Raipur and has been associated with NLSU Bangalore and NLU Jodhpur. We offer a variety of law courses, both graduate as well as postgraduate courses. For the undergraduate, we have BA LLB Honours, BBA LLB Honours, and BCom LLB Honours. We offer a 1-year and a 2-year LLM program and PhD courses in constitutional law, civil law, as well as criminal law. The difference that Manav Rachana makes in the grooming of the students is by integrating technology in the curriculum and providing online as well as offline teaching mechanisms. The Shri Ratanlal Lahoti Memorial Law Library provides access to database on campus as well as remote access through off-campus mechanisms. The question really arises, why Manav Rachana Faculty of Law? The answer is that we believe in learning by doing. We try to include moot court societies, legal aid clinics, visits, MUNs, parliamentary courses, as well as different pedagogy to let the students understand the technicalities involved in practical life apart from the theoretical knowledge. We have collaborations with honorary professors, regularly conduct workshops, and also have expert as well as guest lectures apart from the internship opportunities. Some of the opportunities offered at Faculty of Law include the Center of Excellence on Alternative Dispute Resolution, which was inaugurated in September 2019 by the Union Law Minister Sri Ravi Shankar Prasad in the presence of the former Chief Justice of India, R.C. Lahoti. At the CADR, we've had guest lectures by advocates as well as arbitrators who are recognized in the field of arbitration. The students have been lucky to visit the Supreme Court Museum, jail visits, have regular camps, and also indulge in e-court projects, which broadens their horizons into the practical issues of daily life. We have a moot court committee and a moot court hall, and the students are given an opportunity to attend workshops by litigators and legal practitioners of the law field. The students are indulging in both intra as well as inter-college competitions, and of recent, one of our students has won the Best Speaker Award at the S.K. Puri Memorial International Moot Court Competition held at Delhi University. Manav Rachna has also indulged in expert lectures which have been delivered by distinguished law personalities. These include the lectures given by Honorable Justice A.K. Sikri, Justice Rajiv N. Law, Justice Kurian Joseph, Justice B.D. Ahmed, and Mr. Arvind Datar. We've also had Manav Rachna Law Dialogues, which provide a platform to bridge the gap between the theoretical knowledge and industrial knowledge. Apart from that, the students have been given opportunity to intern with judges, with advocates at the Supreme Court and the district courts, different law firms, different legal departments of non-legal firms, as well as organizations such as the NHRC. Last but not the least, we've had several webinars during this COVID-19 lockdown, which have focused on legal issues at the national as well as international forum. These webinars have addressed issues of arbitration, criminal law, civil law, and constitutional law. Many of these webinars have also been in collaboration with different organizations such as FTI, UNCC, and UNCITRAL. I thank you for your time, and I would like to request Dr. Vahini to take over once again.
Thank you very much, Chetali, for very brief presentation. I would like to just add here that Manav Rachna Faculty of Law offers scholarships on the basis of their +2 scores. If you have more than 80%, you would be entitled for 25% of the tuition fee waiver, and if you have more than 90% marks, you will be entitled for 100% tuition fee waiver. So there are other slabs also you can check out on the Manav Rachna website, and there are other scholarship based upon your sports performance in your sports or in other entrance tests. So I would request participants, law aspirants, to check out the website, or they may call us and we can clarify on that. Now let me take up a few questions here which are posed by some of the students. One student has asked, what is the scoring pattern? Will there be same weightage to all the questions? Every question will be of 1 mark, 2 mark. Will the weightage be same for all the questions, Manas?
Yes, ma'am. So all questions are equal to other. It's just that the setup of questions is a little different. When you read the passage, there are some questions linked to the passage, or if there's a problem that's given, there are some questions linked to the problem. But what I would also say is that there is no negative marking in LSAT India. So each question carries marks that is equal to the other. And we don't believe in punishing someone for not knowing the answer, but we really do believe in awarding them if they're able to figure out the right question. So about the testing and the scoring pattern, what I would say is what I've already shared, that yes, they have equal marks. But in general, also this time around, students should note that last year we used to just give the percentile. This time we're also going to give the percentile and the scale score for people between 420 and 480, if I'm right. That's where the scale score is going to vary or range into. So that is just something that I wanted to add about the score over there. That on that question, but I just want to take a second over here. And while you mentioned that you're a young institution, from Chaitali's presentation, one thing that I can definitely tell you for sure is, as a young institution, there's a lot that you people have already seemed to have accomplished and done, and you seem to be doing a lot many more things that institutions may not even be thinking or considering in the first 2 or 3 years. So just want to take a second, acknowledge that, and just say that splendid effort on that front.
Another question which candidate has asked is whether they can swap the questions or they can do later questions first and then earlier questions later on. Will it be possible? Will they have the flexibility?
Ma'am, so what there is that they cannot switch between sections. Once your section is done, you cannot come back to the previous section. So like once you've gone through the section and finished it, that's where the section goes through and you get into the next section. So it won't be possible to jump back from sections. But what I would say is, in a preparation strategy, the reason that I told everybody to make sure that they're reading through the 4 or 5 prep tests that we've given out, or any other reading material, in case they were able to pick up the super prep test also in advance. It's just that what that would do is that would give them the feel and hang of how the questions are generally framed. So in case if you think that this is a question that may be a little tougher for you, you have to pace yourself in the exam. There are only 35 minutes per section, about 23 questions in each. So you get about a minute and a half, a little under a minute and a half, if I may say, per question. So just pace yourself accordingly. And when you're skimming through them, if you think that they are a little beyond your I won't say ability, but I would just say that if you think they're a little tougher than what you would imagine them to be, probably give a little slighter, lesser important to those questions, and save that extra time. Because what happens is we then start chasing the rabbit. Did I get this right? Should I read it again? If it's not wrong, but what that does is that for every one question that you spend more time, you are basically risking yourself in attempting lesser number of questions at end, which may be relatively easier for you. And it's not like what's an easy question, what's a difficult question. Saying ABCD may be easy for me, but not as easy for you. But saying PQRST may be easy for you or not easy for me. So they're all a part of alphabetics, the alphabets. But it's just that it's variable from a person to person depending on their skill. So that's what I would have to say to that question.
Okay, and another question is there any time break in between, or is it continuously you finish one section, click submit, and then second appears and you can't take a break?
Ma'am, there is no break this time around. Since it's an online remote proctor test and the artificial intelligence is continuously monitoring you, unfortunately, there's no break over here. So, if you have the need to take a bio break or something, please do it before the examination. Make sure that your room temperature is such that you feel comfortable. It should neither be too cold nor too hot. You will not be able to leave your seat for the fan. And that's why I said, get yourself in the groove. Spend 3 to 4 hours in that environment so that you get the habit of sitting in such place with whatever, and you understand how you want your surroundings to be to make it comfortable for yourself.
Okay, and I assume that it will start at the same time and end at the same time for all the students. Starting time is same.
No, ma'am. So what we've done is on the 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd over the 4 days, and then on the 26th, there are 3 slots per day. So students have already been communicated their slots as to what time it starts. And again, repeating what I said earlier, try coming into the room a little early because you have to get your ID verified. So make sure that you are not, thinking that, oh, my slot is at 9 a.m., then I should go at 9 a.m. only. Try coming a little early. That is where, and it's going to be slightly variable. But again, repeating what I said, if your internet connection breaks, there will be a continuity in your exam. If it breaks more than 30 minutes, then there are again provisions. So just don't, get affected by the fact that this may be something that may, really be challenging you in that case.
Okay. I assume you have already answered this question. Nevertheless, I would like to read the question. One of the candidate has asked, how would you recommend tackling questions from reading comprehension section? So you have answered that, or would you like to add something here?
I just very quickly repeat, RC is something that is always going to be testing your reading and contemplation as well. So it's 2 things. You're analyzing and reading and identifying what can be important for you or where is that you have to really work on. So it's a strategy that depends. If you are more comfortable reading and then going for the question, reading the passage and then going for the question, great. If you're more comfortable in reading the questions first and then going to the passage, great. If you want to do a blended version skimming, that's great. But please understand one thing, that just because when you're reading the passage and you know what the question is, it may seem like the obvious answer. When we're reading, let's say if it says Ram is Sham's brother, then who is Sham to Ram? So it says brother, here it is evident. But sometimes the exact thing that you read in the passage may not be the answer. So just make sure that you're not just reading and selecting that, okay, this can be my answer, this can be to the question. Try and just spend some time in contemplating, or rather just processing that. That is what I would have to say for RC.
Thank you very much, Manas, for your patiently answering all the questions. Another question which we have is, one candidate is asking, will we be provided with tools such as pencils or highlighters for annotation in RC and CR?
So you can actually use the highlight tool that is there, which allows you to, we understand that when you're taking these examinations, there's a need to understand what part is important, and if you're going from the passage back and forth to your question, so there's an highlight tool. For your pencil paper, you're allowed only 2 rough sheets of paper and a pencil, so you can keep that and make sure that you do not have more than 2 blank rough sheets of paper. Do not make them any other way. Please make sure, if you can, get the printout A4 sheets, which is generally absolutely blank. It's always safe because the system is made in a fashion to identify certain issues, and it will be working on that. So we've definitely gone ahead. There is a scratch area, but you also have the rough paper. But please use it judicially, and a simple advice would be that the software is watching you. So I know in my time in school, we always wanted to get creative. Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I put sticker here? Can I put that? Even if you're going to look away and things are going to happen, it's going to catch you for that. So just try and be as true you can, because any which ways, if you spend time in finding whatever could be relevant for you, there is no coursework that is defined. It is not that this is the question, this is the book that you read, and out of this we'll ask. These are questions which are testing your skill. So you'll actually be spending more time in trying to figure out on whatever alternate setup one may have thought of, than rather really just trying to understand what the question is asking. So that would be one thing that I would have to say for this whole thing.
Another question, related question is, can they use pen and paper physically having with them?
Yes, ma'am. As I mentioned, they can use the pencil and the 2 rough sheets, but plain blank rough sheets and 2 sheets of paper only.
Okay. And one question again on structure and attempt of the online exam is, while attempting, can we select which section to attempt first?
No, ma'am. It's going to go in the sequence that it is set up. So it's a systematic, it's a system-based thing. So it's going to go in the sections how it is generally put up in even the sample test papers, and they have to go in that sequence only.
Okay. And another question which comes to us is, what is a good score on LSAT India? What do you consider as good score? More than.
Ma'am, I think this is always a question people ask us: what is the percentile that we should get? How to score our marks and everything. See, one thing that I would like to tell you is LSAT India doesn't give out a raw score. It's not like how many questions you got correct and this is your score and this is a national ranking. What we do is we actually follow the percentile. So it is not just what you scored can be a good score. It's also the kind of score that the people with you who are taking the examination are going to score. So let's say, for example, if you get an 82.5 percentile, so that means you were better than 82.5% of the people who are appearing for the exam. That does not mean that you scored 82.5%. It means that's your, stand in that class. And it is unfair to compare one class with the other, because it's the kind of people who are testing, it's the way the paper was set. So don't compare cycles as well, while it is comparable to an extent, but I really would not advise that. However, this year we're also going to give out the scale score between 420 to 480. Now, I really am not at the liberty to give the whole scheme out on how the scale score is going to work, but I would just say that please do not concern yourself with what is a good score. Your strategy should only be how well can I do, because the better you do, the better you stand a chance to score. As I said, it's not a raw score. If you get 6 out of 10 questions right, you may not be at 60 percentile. It can be that other people got only 5 questions out of 10 right, so you might be the 100, that this is the top percentile as well. So it is completely dependent on your class, that is the people who are there with you in the same examination, but then also with how you perform within them. It's that is what I would have to say to it. And there is not enough emphasis that I can lay on it. I myself gave the LSAT India in 2015, I think. Yes, it was 2015. So also one more thing, you're not tested, I mean, you're not scored similar, you're tested on the same exam, but LLM or the postgraduate program has a different scoring pattern. The postgraduate, that is the graduate and the postgraduate program, but the undergraduate has a different. So again, don't think that you're competing against someone who may have been a little ahead of you in years or in terms of college-based training or education-based training. So that is something that I would just say that, be rest assured about.
Another question which came on the number of questions which you have already answered, but Harshita has asked, could there be 100 questions? But you have said that there are likely to be 92 questions in the exam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Another question again is showing the anxiety of the candidates. It says, I decided to take up law really late. With barely 5 days for LSAT, is it possible to crack it? So
it is. So let me tell you this personal story from my own experience of giving the LSAT India. And please, everyone who's watching this, I'm giving a disclaimer. This is the personal story. I'm not sharing it as a representative of LSAC Global. Don't construe this as advice. And this is never to be taken as the talisman. The only reason I'm going to share this is because a lot of people, have these jitters. Should I be doing this? Can I do it? meko exam, I don't want to appear for the exam only because I don't feel prepared. What will people think? I personally wasn't the best prepared for LSAT India. I filled my form on the very last day in 2015 for LSAT India, and all I used to prepare was the 3 prep tests that were there at that point of time on Pearson India, LSAT India website. I remember a dear friend who was working with a university which accepts the LSAT India scores. They suggested that you can get these free prep tests and you can start preparing. And quite honestly, trust me when I say this, I won't give you my exact percentile, but I scored more than 80 percentile only by ensuring that I practice, practice, and practice. And trust me, I again won't give you the number of hours or the number of days because it's a very small number. But what I did was I focused really hard and I stopped thinking about whether will I be able to crack it, what will people think. When I went to the exam hall, my only thing was it doesn't matter when I filled up the form. It doesn't matter that other people may have 10 or 20 times the number of hours of practice than I have. What matters is I've decided to take up law. I've decided to, pursue my advanced studies in law as well. And this is why I'm getting into the examination. So those 2.5 to 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, I did not let my mind flutter around here or there. What will happen if I don't get this question? So that is what should be your psyche as well. And that's absolutely a personal advice. Please do not take it as a formal advice, and I wouldn't advise anyone to do that because it definitely, I can understand that the anxiety attached to it after the exam is much higher, that now that this is done, what will happen next. But stay there, stay strong, and we have enough number of institutions that are willing to take you on the basis of LSAT score. So there are much better chances for you with an LSAT to start your law school journey with a quality institution than would be with a lot of other examinations that are out there.
Another question which we have, Manas, is which year sample papers should we need to do?
Ma'am, that would be again the prep test 1, 2, and 3, which are there for free on our website, open to people. If you want access to prep test 5, it's there on our Telegram channel. If you've already paid and signed up for the LSAT India, you automatically got free access to the prep test 4. In case if you haven't, just write to us and we'll just look into it why that didn't happen. But before that, we'll also give you access to it. These are also some of the actual past papers. So just refer to them. There's a lot of additional reading material. What maybe I can advise further is if you go on a preparation platform called the Khan Academy. The Law School Admission Council actually invested a lot of money to create additional free preparatory material on Khan Academy for the original LSAT. That is, LSAT India is also the original exam, but when I said original, I meant to say the exam that's been there for 60 to 70 years in the US, and the one that's the international exam. So that is a slightly tougher version of LSAT India. LSAT India is slightly mellowed version of it. So if you want, you can actually use those preparatory resources as well, because they do groom you for taking up in its own way LSAT India as well. If you score well there, you'll definitely score well here. And don't be disappointed if you don't score the best or an optimum what you would think is the best for you, because whatever your score is over there, this exam is slightly mellowed version of it. So there's a higher chance that you'll score good enough over here as well.
In fact, one of the question came from Shanvi was that she is preparing for LSAT from Khan Academy. So you have already answered. And there are some, I think, technical questions which students are asking that they are not able to download the admit card or have not received the admit card, or the password of the mock test is same as the exam. So all these questions would you like to answer, Manas?
Yes. So what I would say over here, ma'am, is quite honestly, the admit cards and all details have been set out to you. Additional resources of what to expect for LSAT India test day would be coming out for you as well. What you need to be looking out for is on 8th of July, an email was sent out to everyone, get ready for your LSAT India remote proctored exam that came from Discover Law India at lsac.org. So you should be referring to that. Is definitely one that I would say that look up that email that has your initial information how you should be doing. The next one was another email that was from again Discover Law India at lsac.org, and that was advising you for the I'm really sorry over there. So that is again advising you and reminding you to make sure that you have done your check. What is important is after these two emails, you actually get the username. Your username for the Discover Law India website, where you filled up the LSAT India form, is different from the username that you will be doing for the examination and the mock. So if you've accepted the terms and conditions, with the username, you've also got a password. Use that password, download the secure browser, run your check. Today is the last day to run a check on your browser. Make sure that you're running that check. You use the new password, get into the browser, exit from the same. That same email that you get for your password and the other two emails, these three emails combined means that you have completed the process of being able to take the examination, and these three emails are your admit card. So if you think you have to download an admit card, there is no need to download an admit card. That was ideally required earlier because it was a pen and paper test and you were to go to any place and give the exam. But since you're giving it from your home, just a gentle reminder, the emails that you're getting, specifically the email with your password, which actually enables you to go and take the examination, that can be considered your admit card. So do not really worry that why am I not being able to download an admit card, because there's nothing like an admit card. What you need to make sure is you're the one definitely taking the exam, because otherwise the camera is obviously going to identify you. And go on a website, find and make sure that you have the exact ID proofs that are recommended on the website that you use to enter the room. That is how you get into the room. So more than your admit card, it's important that your ID proof and you both are present in clear in front of the webcam on the time and the slot of your test. That is what I would have to say to that, ma'am. I think there was another question that just was shared earlier as well, which was around the same thing, that we've received emails with other things and not the password, and how do we do it. If you have not accepted your terms and conditions, you probably have not got the password. In case, again, go ahead, look up, I'm just going to repeat, Discover Law India at lsac.org is where you get the primary emails from, and the password, which is with your login credentials, comes from lsatindia@pearson.com. If you've done all of this that we said and it still isn't working for you, you did get the first email with 2 support line numbers and an email ID. Write to them or call them. They're actually working to address any of these issues and help you with that. So they are the best resources at this point of time if you're still continuing to face these issues as well.
Thank you, Manas. And a few related questions is whether they will be able to see the solutions to the questions, and results would be declared by when, and can they use a portable hotspot, or is it the requirement of laptop and Wi-Fi?
Ma'am, so what I would say for the result is the first thing that you can expect it in mid of August. So probably a second week of August or somewhere around that is when you would have your results. So it's ideally before you're appearing for the other entrance exams as well. And that definitely would empower you to make the right choice of a law school for you. What I would say, I'm sorry, your question at the end was about the internet connection. So
Solution.
Yes, ma'am. So the answer key is something that I have to get back to you after checking, and I'm just checking the same as well. But what I would just quickly address about the hotspot is, it is okay to have that hotspot connection, but I wouldn't advise the same, because the moment your phone rings, the internet can drop. Mobile connections are also not stable. It is advisable that you have a broadband which ideally would go through at a constant speed and is a little more stable in terms of connection, because you're also being viewed by the AI proctor. So it's advisable to have a stable connection. But in case if you don't and hotspot is your only way, I won't say that it's not something that you shouldn't be doing, but it's just a general advice that I would like to say over there. And as for the answer key, we don't, ma'am. It's the same as the pen and paper test that we used to take earlier. It's the same as that. When students ask us that are there breaks, well, there have never been breaks in LSAT India, even in a pen and paper test. So there was only a provision for one small 5-minute loop break or a bio break that if you wanted to go out, but that was also subject to the invigilator. But just the same as pen and paper test, there will not be an answer key. There will just be the result that will be tabulated. However, if you again go on our website and read the terms and conditions, there are provisions if you just want to get yourself re-evaluated, but then you have to follow the terms and conditions that have been laid out. So make sure that you've read through them.
Sure. I don't know whether you would like to answer that. How many applications, how many applicants are there for LSAT India? That's one thing. Another issue, another question which was raised was some use of scratch paper as shown in the video on YouTube. So would you like to clarify on that?
Ma'am, that would ideally work. Again, if you were there, if they're referring to the YouTube video that we've uploaded earlier, that is the introduction to the LSAT India. Yes, whatever is said in that video would go through. But again, as I said earlier in our discussion as well, you are allowed to blank papers to work as rough paper as well. So that should get you covered, but use them judiciously, because that's all that you get to use. What I would say for the number of test takers, again, as you said, it's a sensitive thing, but I would say that there is multiples of thousands of people who are taking this exam. But as I said earlier, don't let that affect you. How many people are taking the exam? What is the score that I need? These questions become irrelevant when you give the best that you can. If you focus a little more on yourself and appearing for the exam, it won't matter how many other people gave the exam. What would matter is where did you stand in how many ever number of people, and starting your law school journey with a desired law school which is willing to give you quality education. In our case, there are 12 alliance institutions and some other institutions as well which accept the score. So that is something, again, I would say that just don't let that affect your decision, or just don't let that affect your preparation.
I think we should take one or more two more questions. One question which a candidate has asked is it different tests or scores for LLB 5-year and LLB 3-year?
The undergraduate and the postgraduate, yes. As I mentioned earlier, the postgraduate people or the graduate and above people would have a different pattern of, I wouldn't say pattern of scoring. I'm sorry, my bad. Let me correct myself over there. They would actually have a different percentile being issued to them, because it is understandable that they've been through some formal education, and it's also as a difference that you're just right out of school. So yes, please be rest assured, you're not being graded. Everyone who's giving the exam may be giving the same set of the papers or the same level of examination, but you're not being graded on the whole range. You do have different scores that will be issued to you. When I say scores, I mean the graded scores and the percentile both.
Sure. And with that, we come to the end of the session. Thank you, Manas, for answering all the questions patiently. Just one tip, if you would like to give to the student how to select a college based upon their, a score which they get or percentile which they get.
Yeah. Thank you. First of all, thank you, ma'am. And I'll come, more. So I just want to break this last address in 3 parts. The first is some tips to remember. The second is the question that you asked, and third is generally just something that I'd like to say. So the tips to remember would be, strategy should be prepare, get yourself used, get the people used around you, get yourself to those sample test papers and spend more time on it. And don't take stress about it, don't be anxious about it. But what's also important is, please make sure that all your checks are done. Report 30 minutes before, just be in time. Please try and stick to the rules and regulations. They are done so that we are assuring a fair test for everyone who's appearing this year. If there are issues, we are here to support you. So don't worry about what really happens if I run into an issue. We will support you with it, and our aim is to support your law school journey. To address your question, ma'am, selecting a law school is an extremely personal process. But with what that I would say is no one size fits all. But the common grounds that one can, stick to is whether the law schools typically addresses what I want to be doing in the next few years. Some people want to be studying a little more of theory and research. The others want to be more on the practicum side. Some want a little more of co-curricular. The others probably just want to stick to their academics. So you need to choose that. Geographical locations also play an important role. That wherever you're from, it will play. But what I would say is one key factor for deciding an institution is always the cohort that you're going to be studying with and the faculty who's going to be working with you, because these are your immediate peers. It matters which institution you're studying in to an extent only. The name, the sheen around it, the shine around it. I personally don't come from a national law university. But the reason, and I actually got through a national law university, just to put it out there, if you just take out the 2010 CLAT scores, I got through there. But the reason I took the college that I took was because of the people or the exposure that I would have. So let's say in this case, and I'm not trying to advocate someone, but I would just say in this case at MRIU, they've already elaborated that they have a center for arbitration, the CADR. The faculty is doing some webinars, they have their moods, they're doing their research papers. So these should be some of the things that you should be considering while choosing any law school. This is what is going to define. It's 5 years. Trust me, if you're in the undergraduate course, it's 5 years of where you want to be spending your life. So that will always be a part of your core decision, and it is also should be one of the heaviest things. So what I would encourage is students should write emails, call up. There are support helplines of wherever, whichever institution they want to read at. Say it doesn't hurt to call up an institution and say, I would want to talk to some of your faculty. I would want to talk to some of the students if it is possible. If you don't ask, it will never happen. And I think that should be your first rule as a law aspirant. Go out and express. If you don't, you probably won't get there. And the third and the last thing that I wanted to say is a big thank you to Dr. Vahini, Chaitali as well for hosting me over here. And even more so to Ajay Thomas. We've known each other for a while. We've tried to work for a while, and he's definitely pushed us to be here. He's encouraged us, and he's hosted over here. So I'm super stoked that we were able to do this with MRU. And even more so, the best thing is we are doing it on the 15th, a few days just before the exam. So some of the questions that have been presented over here, I'm sure are pertinent questions that students wanted to get addressed. So I'm really grateful that you've allowed us to create this platform again to talk to students and address some of the additional questions. But thank you again for really inviting me and giving me the opportunity to come and talk to you as well as the aspirants that want to read at your institution.
Thank you very much, Manas, and thank you, Chaitali. However, I can't stop myself from asking one last question. That is also
Please,
related to the question is which ID would you accept? Is Aadhaar card a valid ID which student may carry for the exam? A few of the students have.
Ma'am, so what I would want to say over here is I don't want to comment on the exact identification proof because there are a variety of identification proofs and everyone has their own choice to follow any of those. But these are supposed to be government issued, government recognized ID proofs. All right. And which ones are going to be accepted? What I would encourage the student is you've already been given the resources. You can go and read them, but also go on the website discoverlaw.in. Every information is over there. So you can always trust the information that is there on our website rather than any spoken word because it can be conflicting information. So I would encourage that go on the website, read more about the kind of identification that you can use, but make sure that it's also government approved and government issued identification proof in its original format. What is important is it should be in its original format.
And can the dates be swapped? I mean, somebody who is scheduled on 20th, he wants to take on 22nd or 22nd, he can prepone. Is it possible?
Ma'am, unfortunately not. So earlier there were some conflicting examinations with us when we were making these accommodations, but the exam is now cancelled. And I think there's only one small exam that's clashing when we are trying to accommodate them until and unless it's a pertinent exigency or something that just makes it impossible for you, but it cannot be of extremely just a personal thing that hey I just don't feel like giving an examination or I would like to take another slot. We do receive a lot of these requests, so these slots are selected after considering a lot of process on how we are testing, and it's set up as a gradual testing as well. So it is not now open anymore. We were taking accommodation requests on certain grounds till the 5th of July. However, if it is something that is really something that can really was out of your control, could not be addressed, and it's a challenge, and you still think that you make a very, 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 and very, trust me, I said 5 times very, but if you only think it's that strong a case, is only when I would say that you can write to us and request for an accommodation. But over there as well, I am not assuring you an accommodation. The team on these compassionate basis would probably, try and consider it, but please don't push us for it because we've already tried and accommodated on various grounds. But now the exam is set. There are only 3 to 4 days left. And let me just quote this. I got a call from the student yesterday evening. So this is for information of everyone. His argument was, sir, my testing slot is on the 22nd, but my friend's is on the 20th. I am right now not at my home, and I will reach home. I think his was on 20th and his friend was on 22nd. So he said, I will reach home by the 21st. I'm right now at my relative's place. Can I take the test on 22nd and my friend can take it instead of me? That will not happen. Your IDs are linked to the user ID password. There's an artificial intelligence viewing you. There'll be a manual verification. Please do not think that you can switch. That cannot happen in a pen and paper test as well. But this time around, it's slightly stricter. The email ID, password, secure browser, artificial intelligence, manual check. There's a lot of process that has been built on to ensure that everyone who's appearing has a fair experience. So don't try any of this. I know there can be this thrill, oh, I'm trying to beat the system, but don't try and encourage yourself, because we've been fairly vigilant in trying to cover grounds like this.
Thank you, Manas. Do we have Mr. Thomas listening to us?
Yes, Dr. Vahini.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thomas. One of the questions which has come for you also, will the recording of this session be available for them to view later, or is there any live cast of this session somewhere? Would you like to answer that?
There would indeed be a recording of this webinar, which will be shared with the attendees in a couple of days from now. And additionally, this webinar is being cast live on the Facebook page of Manav Rachna University. So for those of you who have missed it out, you can also view it on the Facebook page of Manav Rachna University.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas. Thank you, Mr. Manas, and thank you, Ms. Chetali, for being with us. And thank you all the participant law aspirants for joining this session, and all the best for your exam and your journey in law school. Thank you very much, and all the best for your career and for your exam. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you again for inviting and hosting us. And thank you everyone for viewing and staying with us till the end of this whole webinar.
Thank you.